Hey everyone, this is me, Lance Meister, Undead Viking. Here is another little video that I had this thought. Well, actually, I read a book, and this is actually going to combine the books I'm reading, talking about those, and role-playing games in general. So, quick backstory, at least for me. I had a roommate when I was in my 20s. The guy's name was Phil. He was a good guy. Just we hung out and played a lot of games together. It was just one of those things where somehow like our paths crossed in life, and then we ended up being roommates for a little while. And he had all of these Conan books. Like he had collected all of like just the pulp novels, right? And so I just started reading them. I mean, I'd read a few Conan. I had purchased and I'd had a lot of the Conan comics, but I had never really read a lot of the novels. I read a couple here and there, but and I just started digesting them. And one of the things about it was like it was great stuff. I was really enjoying the reads, but also like I ended up using lots of ideas from those books in the fantasy RPGs that I played, mostly D&D at that time. Played some other stuff too. Used them for inspirations for characters that I made, and definitely used them when I ran games myself. And this was like one of those things where there was a few used bookstores back in the day that were in my area that they always had wonderful old pulp fantasy books, pulp sci-fi books that I could purchase on the cheap and read. Now, as time has gone on, everything becomes collectible or whatever. I mean, back in the day, it used to be whatever was on like the one place, Ernie's Discount Books. Whatever the price was on the book, he charged half of that. So if you found an old pulpy fantasy Conan book that said, $1.50 on the cover, he charged you 75 cents. It was a wonderful deal. Now when I go to a used bookstore, they check and see what the value is of everything, and they charge way more than that, which is fine. It's a business, blah blah blah. I get it. But those days, man, I used to love it. I used to be able to go in and like have a list of every Hugo and Nebula Award winner and just look for those on the shelf and collect them. And man, I read so many of those books. But regardless to any of that, a lot of the stuff that I read back then would be what is considered to be Appendix N. And if you go back to what Appendix N was, it was a thing that Gary Gygax used to create a list of, hey, these are the books that I read that inspired me to play D&D or to actually use facets of D&D. And that was the whole premise behind it. And they would list in the back of the books, and they would say, oh, these are the things that you should check these out. If you're enjoying playing D&D, or you want to like read stuff that inspired D&D, this is what you should do. And when I started looking into those, like that opened up the doors to a lot of other stuff that I didn't know about. A lot of Fritz Leiber stuff, a lot of Jack Vance, a lot of Clark Ashton Smith, and so on and so forth. So the other day I was at a local bookstore, and I was just kind of perusing. I had a couple of like horror novels that I was looking for, and I happened to walk by their role-playing section, and I found this book, Appendix N, and I saw the title, and I was like, that looks cool, and I picked it up. And you can kind of maybe, it's not really focusing in real well, I apologize, but it says Weird Tales from the Roots of Dungeons and Dragons, revised and expanded edition, and it is edited by Peter Bebergall, maybe, I don't know. Here are some of the names of the authors that are located in here. Paul Anderson, Frank Brunner, Ramsey Campbell, Lynn Carter, Lord Dunsay, Gardner Fox, and Rob Reed Howard, Tanith Lee, Fritz Leiber, H.P. Lovecraft, and so on and so forth. Margaret St. Clair, Jack Vance, Manly Wellman. Lots of people I've read before, but here they were included in this one book. And This is my second time of reading through this book. These are all short stories that are included in here. They range from being, like 3, maybe 4 pages to, obviously like 50, 60 or whatever. But and let me see how many pages are in this thing. It's got a really good forward. It even has like a couple of classic pulpy comic book stories included. So it's a little over about 350 or so pages. There are tons of videos out there talking about how can you be a really good dungeon master, how to run the perfect fantasy role-playing game, how to inspire your players to do this, that, and the other thing, how to make great adventures, and so on and so forth. And I think that all of those are good ideas, and there's probably tons of videos out there that can help you. But I'm going to tell you right now, this is one book that every single aspiring dungeon master should own. You need to buy this book, and you need to read it. I reread this. I bought this and I read it because I flipped through to see what stories are in it, and I noticed there were probably like a good number of them that I recognized that I read before. And then there was even more that after I started reading them, I was like, wait a minute, I've read this, because I just, it clicks in your brain and you realize that you've read it before. But there were still several in here that I have not read. And immediately with rereading this stuff, I'm getting ready to run a D&D campaign here in the next few months. Like the campaign I'm involved in is going to end, and I'm starting up one with my game group that I've been together with forever. And my plan is that I'm going to do a running kind of like log videos like this to kind of detail exactly what is going on in that campaign world and whatever, and what the players are up to. And I want to do that just to basically record it, but also I think it would be kind of fun thing to do. But I have come up with so many cool ideas just from reading these things. Like that would make a really good villain. That would make a really good adventure. That would make a really good magic sword to find. And I think that if you went to the trouble, I think this was just $20. Let me see, $22.95 at my local bookstore. I know you can get it online, obviously. But pick this up. The stories are quick reads. You can space them out however you like. You can digest it over a weekend, or you can just say, you know what, before I go to bed tonight, I'm gonna just read this quick short story, and then make notes. Think of ideas, add those to it, and honestly, I think that if you read this stuff, you are going to be inspired. You're going to be inspired to create really cool adventures, and you're going to be inspired to make cool NPCs. And if anything, if you don't get anything that's going to help you, they're really, really good stories too, and they're really good reads. So there you go. That's kind of my little review. That's kind of my little suggestion to the role-playing gamers out there. Yeah, but there you go. So thank you very much for watching this quick video. And like I said, this should be, in my opinion, right next to your Dungeon Master's Guide and everything else. This should be there to help inspire you to play the best version of D&D that you can play yourself. But anyway, until next time, if you've read any of these old stories, like tell me which ones are your favorites or whatever, leave comments, likes, whatever, subscribes, do the whole 9 yards. Take care, and I'll talk to you again soon.